They were worried about cold butts. That's to bring the heated.
Oh, look at that reaction! Look at that! What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monty Sports Show. It is Monday, the week of Thanksgiving, November 21st, 2022. I am your host, Monte Perez, a.k.a. The Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone for watching. Yesterday, we had Jalen Willingham from Nuts and Bolts Sports join us to talk Cincinnati Bengals, also some NBA chat. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're getting more subscribers. That is great news, so make sure to like and subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. And also go to Nuts and Bolts Sports. Check out the new site. We are now one-stop shopping. I'm going to probably do some videos and some holiday recipes from my chef days. They're doing movie reviews, game reviews. Check it out. The new Nuts and Bolts Sports website is phenomenal. Make sure to follow me on social media. Don't know how much longer I will be on Twitter. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I've lost about 1,000 followers in the last 2 days. I was at like 17,1. Now I'm at 16,000. The purge in Twitter continues. I don't know what the hell Elon Musk is doing. I really don't care. I'm going to keep doing my shows, keep doing my TikTok videos and pumping out articles. Today I wrote an article on the Portland Trail Blazers rising in the West. So go check that out. And then later today, I will be dropping my top 5 things we learned in the NFL. Make sure to go to Twitter, like I said, and TikTok. We're at 1.9 million views. Monte Perez 231 on TikTok and Monty JP 231 on Twitter. Keep the comments coming. Thank you so much for participating. We're not sure if Amarie is joining us. She was supposed to, but then she had to do something with her family. So it might be just me and Brad Ward. I'll get him on in about 30 seconds. So it was a crazy day in the NFL, but it was even crazier for me. So I do DraftKings here. I am not allowed to do in Florida, allowed to gamble or do prop bets. So with about, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter, my DraftKings lineup, I was winning $2,500. So I figured right then and there, okay, worst case scenario, I'm going to win $500. Wound up winning $15. Within 45 minutes, I went from $2,500 to $15. Beyond frustrating. Okay, let's bring him on. My co-host, fans love him. The voice of Cleveland. That's my new nickname for you. The voice of Cleveland. Brad Ward, how you feeling? I know you were sick last week. Have you recovered?
I am recovered from illness. Yes, I have recovered.
Okay.
So I'm feeling better. I do. Listen, that DraftKings thing, that happens all the time, man. That it's just part of it. Like, you'll see the big number. You can't even look at it. If the final whistle hasn't blown,
you can't look at it. The
I've
funny
gone
thing is,
from huge
someone who follows me, I haven't talked to him. He said, I worked at FanDuel. He goes, normally, if you're up this big in a third quarter of an NBA, he goes, worst case scenario, you're going to win $300-400. He goes, I can't believe you only won 15. My second hand, I mean, look at the score here. Midway through 109, and then I finished with 140. So my 8 players only got 30 points in the final quarter. It was terrible, frustrating.
It happens, man. It happens. It's brutal. But hey, so why? I don't understand. Why are you losing followers?
I don't know what's going on. Since Elon Musk's taken over, I've lost about 1,000 followers. I don't know if people stopped going on Twitter. I was almost at 17,000. I think, and now I'm at 16,100 when I woke up this morning. I know a lot of people are complaining, hey, what's going on? People with huge accounts are losing 10,000 followers. A lot of people are saying that I was following this person, now I'm not. So it might be just a glitch in what's going on. Who knows? But you know my theory, Brad. Just keep working and see what happens.
Yeah, it's weird. I know that Twitter. Everybody thought it was ending the other night or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
a doomsday.
uh, end of times. Everybody was saying goodbye and living their Twitter memories
I I,
away.
uh, I
So,
don't care what happens to Twitter. I'm going to keep doing my thing. You're going to keep doing your thing. Is
yeah.
Twitter's great for sharing articles, ideas. You and I became friends and co-hosts because of Twitter. So I can't say anything bad about it. All right. Speaking of bad, Brad, let's talk about your Cleveland Browns. They played a good first half. They dominated the first half.
Yeah.
They were up 13-10. What happened in the second half?
Well, listen, they should have been up more in the first half. Let's just say that. Like they dominated the first half, as you said. Josh Allen doesn't look right sometimes right now, a little bit. First time I watched him for a full game, and he doesn't look. I don't know, something's off with him a little bit. But either way, if we're talking about the Browns here a little bit. They don't make winning plays, Monty. They just don't make winning plays. There in any NFL game, there's about, and I'm stealing this from somebody that I think highly of that talks about the NFL, but there's about 15 plays in every NFL game that sway the outcome, and a lot of those plays come down to individual effort, right? Or individual plays by one player makes a spectacular play or whatever. And the Browns just don't make those plays, man. They don't make those plays. Fumbled snap, go for it on third and fourth down. QB sneak twice in a row, don't get it. Blunders in the first half, making what should be easy difficult. This is what they do. This is what losing teams do. The defense got gashed in the run game again. Joe Woods thoroughly should be fired multiple times. If they could fire someone more than once, I would fire him more than once. Yeah, I just don't. I don't like his approach. Is like, this is who we are here. This is who we are. Our defense, and he doesn't adjust in game. He doesn't get creative enough. Josh Allen's thrown all those interceptions, as you were talking about last week, and I dug into the numbers this week doing some articles, and most of that is against zone defense. He actually does really well against man-to-man.
Man-to-man, yeah.
And the Browns, I'm sure ran a ton of zone, but you gotta trick him, you gotta fool him, right? And they were able to get some decent pressure on him, but they just didn't. Listen, man, this team is not. The defense is we thought was going to be good. And they are not at all. They are terrible, and they don't make winning plays as a whole. I feel bad for Jacoby Brissett because he has played his ass off. He played well again. It's tough. The only positives I can take out of it is that I think that Cooper and Peoples-Jones is a good duo going forward. They
Cooper
look
played
good.
very well. I thought for the first time in a while, Buffalo had two running backs rush for over 80 yards, and one of them wasn't Josh Allen. Also, Brad, you bring up a great point. I think last year, one possession games in the NFL was the highest it's been in like 22 years. So these games are close to your point about 15 plays. Brad, what changes can you make in this defense with your coordinator, or is it what he says? This is who we are, live or die, and he's going to be dead man walking. Probably a bad analogy there, but at the end of the year, because they're going to get rid of him. So, what can you do these last few games? What do you want to see, or you're already done? It's a done deal. Get him out.
He can't save his job, in my
Right.
opinion. So
Okay.
I don't think he can save his job. What I think this season becomes about is Watson, right? So
Right.
a lot of it will be getting the rust off of him. I think if they could just win against Tampa Bay this week, which is a tall order, but if they could do that, you would give some semblance. Not that listen, I have no uh, thoughts of them making the playoffs, so don't
Right.
disregard. But it at least keeps you mathematically in it. So, like, hey, here comes Watson, and maybe he can play a couple games that at least feel like they matter. Like the
Right.
illusion of them mattering in the outcome is, I think, is something that is worth, has some worth to the team. You need to evaluate the defensive side of the ball, figure out who you want to be a part of this going forward and who you don't, and
Right.
start back channeling who you're going to want to look at as a defensive coordinator. I did my DC article this week. There's a number of good candidates out there that are connected to people in place already in Cleveland, and a number of just flat out good candidates. So I think you could bring somebody in and change philosophies there. Keep your Myles Garrett's, Jeremiah Wosu-Koromoa, Denzel Ward, Emerson. So those guys, you're really good players, and then you're going to need to remake your defensive tackle room and things like that in the offseason. But the thing that Browns fans should be looking at is, okay, let's see how they do with Watson, knock the rust off, and go into next year, because you still have some talent, and you could go win next year with your QB1 back. So,
Yeah, I mean, as we're going to get to the Vikings in a minute, but you bring up a great point, because other than bringing your number one draft pick off the bench to start, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, you got to be a little bit excited here, because, like I said, you're bringing in Deshaun Watson. You want to see him develop chemistry with Cooper, with People Jones, who I think could be a number two wide receiver on the outside looking in. You have good tight ends. You have good running backs out of the backfield. So even though you're 3-7 and your team is struggling, this is an exciting time, because you have a Pro Bowl quarterback coming to play for you.
yeah, you want to see what these games will be valuable just to get the rust off. I don't think Stefanski's the kind of guy. I don't think he'll show too much. I think the offense will look pretty similar to what they've been running, maybe a little bit more, right? Opens up, but I don't think he's going to come out and show everything on tape, like realizing that probably next year is the ultimate goal, and you don't want to put a lot of what your ultimate plans are with Watson on tape for teams for next year.
Great
So,
point. Although I would like to see him do some RPOs, which you really can't do with
absolutely.
Brissett. So, all right, good
Absolutely.
points, Brad. All right, let's bring on the Viking background. You could start with this. Amarie was getting a lot of trash talk from Dallas Cowboy fans, but I look at it this way, Brad. They're 8-2. Okay, they're like you did the saying with 15 plays. There's a saying in the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, and NFL. Okay, you win a game where you play bad and you're not supposed to win. You lose a game that you were supposed to win. You're going to blow out a team just for showing up, and you're going to get blown out just for showing up. So they got blown out. They didn't play at all. What I didn't like from that game, Brad, is they had no fight in the second half. And we've seen them do this against San Francisco in the playoffs. It's almost like when Minnesota gets punched in the mouth, and we saw this in Philadelphia, they have no resolve in the second half. And to not have that at home when you're getting your ass kicked, that's worrisome to me.
Yeah, it's that's unfortunate. The thing I wouldn't, if I was a Viking fan, I would kind of kick this one under the rug and move on. It feels like a hangover game a little bit, like a huge emotional high, comeback win against the Bills, statement game, and then you go and get slaughtered by the Cowboys. First 7 possessions, the Cowboys scored, dominant performance on defense. 7 sacks. They just got their ass kicked in this one. So it is what it is. It happens sometimes in the NFL. They kind of walked into a buzzsaw. It was kind of, you could maybe see this one coming a little bit after the emotional high, but I didn't think it would be this bad. But I thought that the Cowboys would have a chance to beat them, and they beat the crap out of them. Now,
They really did. They really, and
Pollard.
this was the funniest thing. I don't know if people
Oh,
know, but Kirk Cousins, every time they win now, he takes off his shirt. They put some
yeah,
bling on him. So someone made this little graphic here
from
with the Cowboys and the Vikings, and
from
Kirk Cousins
Friday.
getting his
Yeah,
chance. Yeah. So
from Friday. And is that Dak Prescott? Is
that's Dak
Debo
Prescott.
there?
Supposed to be Debo, I guess. Right
Debo.
there.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome. I love
pretty
that.
funny. All right, let's move to the Jets. I want to start with this. Listen, you guys know how I feel about Zach Wilson. But think about this, right? I want you to think about every 1980s preppy villain. Everyone. This is Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is Johnny. Zach Wilson is this guy from Some Kind of Wonderful. Zach Wilson is just this preppy guy who thinks he's better than everyone. Pretty boy. I said it at the start when he got drafted. He's Johnny Manziel with a bigger arm. Now, here's the problem I have. After the game, they asked Zach Wilson, you scored 3 points. You scored 3 points. Do you feel you let the team down? No. He says no.
Yeah.
This guy, there's rumors that he walks around the locker room like he's better than everyone. He's got Aaron Rodgers, like that douchebag quality, for lack of a better term, but he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers' success. And I want to go to the videotape here because it got so bad yesterday, and this was the end of the game.
This has been one of the ugliest offensive games I've ever seen. In the history of the NFL, with decent weather, I've never seen an uglier offensive game. No flags. No flags! No flags! End this game! End it! End it! Is that a clip? No! Touchdown! I'm watching this game with my dad, and he said, thank God we don't have to watch overtime.
Watching that game with my dad, and my dad said to me, do you mean we're going to have to watch overtime with these two bad teams? I'm just going to give you some numbers here. Just some numbers. So you all know that I don't like Zach Wilson. I think he's every preppy villain there ever was. I really do. But let's just go over some of the numbers. Passer rating, 72.6, which is 32nd out of a possible 33 quarterbacks. Completion percentage, 55%. That's ranked 33rd. Passing TDs to interceptions, 4 to 5, ranked 31st. Passing TDs per attempt, he's 31st. Let's be honest here. This defense that they play, New England, is pretty good, but they're not the 85 Bears. They're not the 86 Giants. Listen to this. They average, the New York Jets, they average 2 inches per play in the second half. 2 inches per play. They had 2.
How did you get that stat? That's an absurd
That was from,
stat.
I think Adam Scheffler tweeted that out. They had 2 total yards in the second half. And thank God Robert Saleh came out at like 5 o'clock before we came out and said, I am not telling you who our starting quarterback's going to be. Zach Wilson is putting up Tim Tebow-like numbers, except he's the devil. Tim Tebow is a saint. Zach Wilson is horrible.
He's the devil.
Yes, he's terrible. He's just
all right.
When someone asks Patrick Mahomes when they lose, this is on me. Josh Allen. Josh Allen, direct quote: "You can't win a game when your quarterback plays like crap." Okay,
Agreed.
Zach Wilson. Is this your fault? No. Next question.
I don't think he was saying it wasn't his fault. He answered the question wrong. He answered the question wrong. The thing about that is that's not a real question. That's a test, right? That's a test, and he failed it, right? He should have answered it differently. Listen, here's the thing about Wilson. He is a douche, right? He's a douche. I think he knows he's a douche.
Yes.
That's okay. That's besides what we're talking about. He has been poor. I saw today the first 20 starts lined up with Jamarcus Russell's.
Horrible.
And they were almost exactly the same. So he has not performed well. I will still say this. I'm with you. I'm coming around to your thoughts on him, right? Like I watched some of his throws yesterday, and then he made the wind as excuses and whatnot in the post game. Not cool. You don't make excuses for your poor play, right? Like the wind. But if you would show me this offense and guys running wide open all over the field, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, I get it. But, like, I don't see that. Like, I watched Dan Orlovsky do a breakdown on Zach Wilson, right? And that claiming that he didn't know the playbook, which is it's a reach, right? To make that claim, because he didn't throw it to the right spot or made a bad read or something. And I don't think that's fair to say that, but I'm looking at the play, and every guy is covered. Like, every guy is blanketed, every wide receiver. So, like, I know you have some good talent over there and everything, but, like, I bet you if you go through that all 22 footage, if I was covering the Jets, I would, and look at it, and it would say, you know, that the wide receivers are covered like 90% of the time. Sorry, I just popped up in my face. Yeah, like 90% of the time. So I don't know, Monty. It's hard for me to tell until you have like a perfect around him. He's 5-2 starting this year, right?
Yeah, and listen, Mac Jones hasn't played well. He's winning. But I will say this, and then we'll move on from Zach Wilson. What I don't understand, okay, and again, I don't have access to all the film. I have access to a little bit more than the average person. But when I watched Zach Wilson on film, when I watched him in college, there was nothing. And again, there are guys who live and breathe this. I don't know why, because this guy, and I said this on draft night, he had a pro day. A pro day is when you have everyone from NFL come to watch you work out in your facility. He was not a great player at college. He looks like Johnny Manziel with a better arm. So my question to all the NFL so-called experts out there, what were you watching that I didn't see? There are guys who are going to miss, right? There are guys who are 6'4", 6'3", who look. My biggest concern for Josh Allen coming out was he completed 56% of his passes in Wyoming, where they don't play anyone, right? There's defensive backs there who are now mechanics, who are now cops. So I'm like, how do you not? That was my biggest concern. But I never questioned his size, his athleticism. I didn't see anything from Zach Wilson once the Jets made it clear that they're looking at him, and all the stuff that I saw from YouTube. I didn't see anything where I said this guy is a franchise quarterback. I said the same thing about Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones regressed. So I don't know what the experts saw on this guy other than he's a more good-looking version of Johnny Manziel. I don't understand what they watch, because, and if people want to come at me and say, well, you thought Marcus Mariota was going to be good. Marcus Mariota is 6'4", 220, runs a 4.3 40. So the skills were there. Now, he may not be an alpha, and that's the problem. But there was, Brad, nothing I saw, and I would talk to this ad nauseum with Greg, that I think this guy, I thought Justin Fields would be good. I thought Trey Lance would be good. I thought Trevor Lawrence would be good. But this guy, I said, he doesn't do anything great. So why was he a top 5 pick?
I think because of his athleticism. He is athletic. He's quick. And I think because of I think that they look at him and think that he has an NFL arm, right? So in that class, people looked at him and said, "Hey, this guy is athletic, has an NFL arm." I'm sure that he's a bright enough kid that they thought, "Hey, he's smart. He could work out." I don't know what I saw. I know that you're saying like what you saw from him, you weren't impressed in college. I saw some film that I thought looked pretty good. So I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. So far, you've been dead on him. He has not been good enough. He's been absolutely terrible. So to your point, you've been right so far.
Well, and if
We'll see.
nothing else, he's literally Johnny from the Karate Kid right now. If nothing else, they look exactly alike.
Yeah, he's a very punchable guy.
That's the best quote you could give on Zach Wilson, and we'll move on. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought the Raiders were going to win. I had them winning on my show. They beat the Broncos. I know that makes you happy because you can't stand Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson made a terrible play at the end of the game. He threw the ball instead of just taking a knee like we saw Taylor Heineke do Monday night against the Eagles. And the Raiders pull this out.
Ridiculous. Once again, feel bad for the Broncos defense. He was wide open. This game, I don't know. These teams are both underachieving, right? Just glad to see Russell lose because he is such an ass. And it continued every week. He continues to make more of an ass out of himself, right? Like they said, last week he was using. His players are looking at him, and he's using the Seahawks checks, right? At the line of scrimmage. Very intelligent. This is a guy. I mean, what is going on with this guy? Like, did they just hide who he was in Seattle the whole time? Because as soon as he got any exposure into what kind of person he is, he just like, Mr. Unlimited, Broncos country, let's ride. He's high kneeing in the airplane. He's saying everything ridiculous that you've ever heard in your life. Like he has, what did he say? He has some kind of blood. I don't know.
But Brad, how about
blood?
this? So I just found out too that in order for the Seahawks to get in touch with him, like if the wide receivers wanted to talk to him, they have to call his manager.
Yeah, Team 3.
They can't even text him. This guy thinks he thinks he's there's I forget the name of the movie, but there's a movie where Alec Baldwin is a surgeon and he's being sued for malpractice, and he says, you think I have a God complex? He's like, when I'm operating on your wife, your daughter, your grandmother, and you're in the chapel praying, you're not praying to God, you're praying to me. These hands, I am God. Russell Wilson thinks he's a God.
He does. Team 3 is a real thing. It's their Team 3. It's his crew. It's his health guy, his cook, his whatever. And I don't think you can, even if you're like on his team as a teammate, you have to go through them to like get to him.
Yeah.
Imagine how you would feel about your quarterback if that was the case. Like you would hate him, right? Like that's absurd.
I talked about this yesterday with Aaron Rodgers, and he's got to take some of the blame for not being accessible to his young receivers. Tom Brady down in Tampa, when he moved there, he got the guys together. They worked out. Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, when Matthew Stafford went there, they would get breakfast every morning and work out for like 2 hours after breakfast. So they made each other. The job of a quarterback, and Tom Brady did this, is to just make the last guy on the bench feel like they're part of the team. Russell makes it like, even if you're my number one wide receiver, I'm a god and you're a peasant.
Yeah. And he's so fraudulent. Like
the
clip of the run pass. Come on, everybody. Run. Pass.
Yeah.
Like Pee-wee level football. Yeah. Like everybody's supposed to be like, it is so fake. Like everybody's going to be like, look at Russ. What a great leader. He's got the entire bench screaming run past like a bunch of morons at the NFL level. He's just such a fraud. It's hard for me I just can't root for him.
You look at Russell like I look at Zach Wilson. We despise them. They're both punchable. So that's
very punchable guys. Both of them.
And I will say this: I've never seen a quarterback, decline this quickly. I said that 2 weeks ago about Ben Simmons and Russ, but Ben Simmons is starting to play well. So and Ben Simmons, but I gotta really question everything I believed about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll didn't win in the Jets. He didn't win with New England. He goes to USC, then he goes to Seattle, and he's making Geno Smith into a Pro Bowler. So maybe it wasn't Russell doing everything. It was Pete Carroll's genius. First of all, remember when Antonio Brown left the Steelers, and I was like, wow, Mike Tomlin kept this guy in check for 7 years.
Yep.
He should win Coach of the Decade. Maybe Pete Carroll should win Coach of the Decade for keeping this guy's craziness and inability to make basic throws in check.
Yeah, same thing, right? Like, and not even like I believe that he performed at a higher level for them, but like we didn't see this side of him and like all the douchebaggery, right? So like now that, but like it's real though, and obviously. If you listen to the Seahawks wanted to win that game so bad because all those guys hated his guts that played with him. What does that say about him?
The ex-players too, Brad. The ex-players are constantly on podcasts, and they're like, we all knew this guy was a fraud, but you didn't want to believe us. You kind of anointed him as the face of the NFL.
Yeah, and then his, their decision to Pete Carroll's decision to want to move on from him at the perfect time.
Oh, yeah. Pete Carroll's a genius. All right, let's move to the yeah, that is true. Lockett, Metcalf, good running backs, good offensive line for years. All
Yeah.
right, Brad. So Jimmy Johnson said something a couple weeks ago, and this doesn't apply for this game. The Philadelphia Eagles are now 9-1. They won 17-16. But Jimmy said that their offense is limited. I want to see how they play the second time around, or how they play coming from behind. Eagles win in an ugly game against the Colts. Jeff Saturday, obviously the team looks much more disciplined. They have an identity. The Eagles win. They're 9-1. This was my surprise team, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to see little chinks in the armor here.
I wouldn't, this game, I wouldn't worry too much about. This whole Saturday thing is so weird, right? Like, I don't know. I guess he simplified things, and sometimes I guess it takes maybe not a coach to come in and make those decisions, right? To simplify things and get away from some of the stuff that wasn't working and just go to what works and give Jonathan Taylor the ball. And this defense is good. The defense has always been good, right? The Colts defense. So for that case, they're a top 5 defense, I believe, right now. So that defense keeps them in games. It's not really fair, the whole Matt Ryan thing, right? That, he wasn't allowed to play, and then Saturday becomes coach, and of course Irsay lets him play. But, so they're obviously looking better. They stopped the run game for Philly, like the traditional run game for Philly completely, which is a little bit worrisome. But how about Philly going out and getting their defensive help immediately?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and that makes Sue and Joseph immediately make a huge difference. They were on the ball all day, and good move there by their GM.
And we know with Sue, when motivated, when the guy wants to play, he's still dominant.
Yeah, he can be, and Joseph played well too, I thought. So both of them, and they were both available for some time. So good on them for going and making the move and going, chips all in. Hurts really was the difference here with his legs more than anything, right? So.
Yeah. Good win. They're 9-1. Again, always better to win ugly than lose pretty. Okay, let's move to the 5-6 Falcons beat the 3-8 Bears 27-24. Cordarrelle Patterson set the NFL record for most kickoff returns for touchdowns with 9. I preview the Dolphins, I preview the Packers, and I preview the Bears. So this is what I wrote about this game. My prediction. Both teams want to ground and pound, but something's got to give here. The Falcons are last in pass defense, giving up 280 yards to opposing quarterbacks. The Bears should be able to exploit this weakness throughout the game. This matchup is a toss-up, but look for Atlanta, who is coming off a bye week, to be the fresher team in the second half. I expect them to have a late interception to seal the victory, and that is exactly what happened. My boy Justin Fields, who I started in fantasy football, played very well until the last, probably, I would say 18 minutes, threw an interception. Justin Fields right now will not be playing on Sunday because of his hurt shoulder. And, Brett, I got to say this. It's very frustrating for me to see Justin Fields. I'm watching the game yesterday. He got hit late. He got hit hard 3, 4, 5 times. No penalties called. If this was Tom Brady, the guy would have got kicked out of the game. It's almost like they let young quarterbacks just get the crap beat out of them without any protection. I'm not one of these guys who's like, oh, let him play football. When it's a penalty, it's a penalty. And Justin Fields got his butt kicked yesterday. There was 3 questionable calls in the second half where he took a pounding, late hits. When he's on the ground, nothing called. But Justin Fields will not be playing Sunday. I obviously got this pretty accurate, but the Bears are in good shape. They got to rebuild the defense. Let Justin Fields sit out a week, and Falcons are still in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, Falcons, Falcons impressive. Their offensive line has really come around. Their offensive line is playing really well, and their run game, right? Like, so they are better than we thought, right? Or at least I thought. I don't know about you. You probably thought
I had them 8 wins. 8 wins.
So you're probably right on pace there. And I think you'll probably have to win 9 in that division, maybe, right?
Yeah.
To get in. So we'll see. But certainly they're right in the thick of things. The thing with Fields is he is the future there. He's fantastic. He looks great. I don't think he was 100% coming down the stretch. And you're right about the calls. And it's not. Here's the thing. It's not fair, but it's also hard on officials when you have a guy that runs all over the field and
100%.
becomes a running back and then he takes hits. Like guys like Fields, sometimes they'll slide in, sometimes they won't. So how's the defender supposed to approach him?
Yeah, that's a
the
great
open
point.
field?
That's a great point. But and going to your point, I think Pro Football Focus came out with their rating the offensive line, and they have the Atlanta Falcons #2 for running, and I think number 27th for passing.
Yeah.
Every time Marcus Mariota drop, they can't get into a 3rd and long. By the way, Kyle Pitts, the tight end who's underachieved, both passing offenses underachieved. It looks like he's out for the year with a torn ACL.
The year.
Yeah,
Wow.
looks like Kyle
Okay.
Pitts is out for the year. But listen, the Falcons do what they do, right? Cordell Patterson is a playmaker. Drake London had a touchdown. I thought this game would be high scoring, very entertaining game. And Marcus Mariota had a nice touchdown run and a touchdown pass. So they move on. All right, Brad, in a game that I was kind of shocked was this close. The
Yeah.
Bengals 6-4 beat the 3-7 Steelers 37-30. Before we break this game down, Mike Tomlin's not going to win his he's not going to have a winning record for the first time. Brad, is it time to move off him because his offense looks awful for the past 3 years?
I don't think so. He doesn't call the offense. He's never has, right? He's a
Right.
what do you want to call it? A CEO type
Yeah, he
head coach.
oversees it.
Yeah. So he oversees both. He's more of a defensive mind, but he oversees everything. So I think if they made a change, it's going to be at the offensive coordinator. I think that's for sure coming. Listen, their defense is totally different with TJ Watt. TJ
Yeah.
Watt was amazing yesterday. The ability to intercept a pass, like 2 feet from the quarterback, just going up with his hands is remarkable. Aiden Hutchinson actually did the same thing. But yeah, incredible play by Watt, and they're much better with him. Here's the thing, like Pickens is really good. He's a freak. Dirty play at the end of the game. That's just what the Steelers do. People got to realize that. But as far as Pickett goes, I just want him to do enough for the Steelers to believe in him for the future. Like,
Right.
Don't get off of him. Just do enough for them to buy in for another year, because I don't think he's good enough to be anything special in the NFL, to be honest, in my personal opinion. You may feel differently. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on him. I don't think he's good enough, but he can play well enough at times to make you maybe think that he could be, and I'm hoping that's what happens to them, and they don't transition to another quarterback, because I think that would help the Browns and other teams in that division if they would stick with him.
Every 30 seconds we freeze and then come back right away. Okay, that might be an internet issue. We'll work on that. Okay, so my thoughts with Pickett here, Brad, are simple. I think Sean Payton said this the other day. I don't know where he said it on. He said, when we're looking at guys going into next season, our question is this guy going to be with us for our Super Bowl years? So you look at this division now. You have Deshaun Watson. You have Joe Burrow. You have Lamar Jackson. That's 3 MVP candidates every year at quarterback. Why do I want to go with Pickett, who every game we play in the division is the 4th best quarterback in that division?
Yeah, exactly. But I hope they do. I think they need to upgrade, but if I were them, I would, it's hard for teams to invest and then pivot so quickly, right? And I don't know. They may, I think they feel the same way. I mean, I've heard people that I kind of liked in the Pittsburgh media say like they like him a ton and they think he can be great. I just don't see it.
I mean, no matter how good he gets, he's still the 4th best quarterback. All right,
Sure.
Brad. A great game last night. The Kansas City Chiefs win. Patrick Mahomes, I think he's the MVP. I'll get your take on it, and then I'll throw some numbers out at you.
Yeah, I mean, incredible game. But Herbert, I mean, was incredible when he throws the ball down the field. Remarkable play to Allen at the end of the game. Great to have his weapons back, right? Mike Williams and Allen makes all the difference for them. They should have won this game, but once again, Kansas City does what they do. They get down X amount of points, and it's like they just turn it on. And I heard somebody make a really good point about them. Like most passing teams, like the Chiefs, right? You think of as like a more finesse, softer team, but they're not. They're a hard nose in the trenches, beat you up on defense, beat you up at the line of scrimmage, but also throw the ball all over you type of team, which is why I think that they're probably maybe the best team in the NFL. Why, I mean, Mahomes is ridiculous. He steals the show again with his legs at the end and then makes a play to Kelsey, who is also ridiculous. They were without their two best weapons, right? Or not their best weapons because Kelsey is, but their two top wide receivers, or one of them. Two? One, two?
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster was out. Marcus Valdez-Scantling got hurt. Another guy got hurt. So,
yeah,
but it doesn't matter because Patrick Mahomes, unlike Aaron Rodgers, will throw to anyone. How many receptions did that backup tight end have? Big catches yesterday in the second half.
Yeah, Watson. They are very. He doesn't care. Yeah, and their offense just generates open guys, and he just hits them, and he makes plays, and he identified right away that they were in man, and every time he does that in the fourth quarter, he just runs for like 30 yards every time. He's done that a couple weeks in a row now, where he's won the game late by just identifying the kind of coverage that they have in taking the easy play with his legs, which is something that he didn't do earlier in his career. Right. So, he's maturing, and his ridiculous talent is getting better, which is making him absolutely amazing.
It's funny because Kelsey, I say this all the time, he's not a Tyreek Hill, a Jalen Waddle. He's not a Justin Jefferson that could out-jump you. This guy's always open, and he's not that fast. He's just so smart. He understands how to – and him and Patrick Mahomes must be aliens because they're telepathic. They're communicating with just a look. Instead of going inside, I'm going outside. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and he is unstoppable. Like, I don't know how you slow him down. I don't.
Right. And okay, so going back to this, the Chargers should have won this game.
They should have.
They should have. There was 3 times that it's 3rd and 2, and the Chargers don't give Justin Herbert the ball. They run dives. They got stopped all 3 times. To Brad's point, the defense of the Chiefs can physically push you around. For the last 2 years, Justin Herbert is 2nd in the NFL in throwing passes inside 5 yards because all their pass plays are quick hitters. When we see Justin Herbert throw it deep, he's beyond accurate. And I'm going to say this again about Brandon Staley. Look how talented Justin Herbert is. Their defense is pretty talented. They have offensive weapons. They're so talented, and they're in a crappy division with Denver, with the Raiders, and they're out of the playoffs right now. Now, conversely, the Jets don't have a quarterback. They're fighting for the playoffs. The Patriots don't have a quarterback. They're in the playoffs. The Giants really don't have a quarterback, and they're 7-3 in the best division in football. So for anyone to tell me, give Brandon Staley another year, they have so much freaking talent in a crappy-ass division, and they may not make the playoffs because this guy doesn't let Justin Herbert play. It's like Mario Cristobal when he had Herbert. They just keep thinking that this guy's going to be a game manager. 3 times, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, they run a dive, they get stopped, turn the ball over. Can we let this guy take over a game just once?
Totally agree. You're absolutely right, and it's a great point. All those teams without quarterbacks in contention in the playoff hunt, and you have Justin Herbert, and you're not there. Not cool. Staley
in a terrible division.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely right. I
Okay, so
agree.
let's move to the Giants Lions. And for all you people coming at me about the Lions, anytime the Lions win or lose close, people are emailing me, you were wrong about Dan Campbell. How was I wrong? Brad and I said on this show in week 1, they're going to win 7 or 8 games. That's what they're going to do. This game was a absolute disaster. I'm watching this with my dad, who's from New Jersey. He's like, "Oh, I'm excited to see the Giants. They're 7-2. Everything went wrong. First of all, Barkley at one point had 14 carries for 20 yards. Detroit's defense not that good. Daniel Jones, who we know this, okay, is because I tweeted this out all before the game. He had the lowest interception percentage other than Tom Brady. Doesn't throw any interceptions. He threw 2. This game was one of those games where no matter what you do, it was wrong. And Brad, are the Giants in trouble now because they go to Dallas on Thursday night?
Yeah, they may be. I mean, they may. They're probably. I think they'll probably lose on Thursday night. Honestly, because it seems like Dallas is kind of hitting their stride, which is nice. But I don't think that. Listen, the Giants team is overachieved. Let's not kid ourselves here into thinking that they are. I don't think they're like a real contender, and I think we've said that a few times. I don't consider them like a contender like I would some other teams that have the same record as them or a similar record. So I think they're probably in trouble in the end, but they've overachieved for this year, and I don't know. The question now is, what do you want to do with Daniel Jones, right? Like that's an enigma if you're a fan or a follower of the Giants. Like, has he played well enough for you to want to commit to him long term?
No, he
I
hasn't.
don't think so.
He hasn't.
No.
And I will say this. So they posted Dan Campbell's press conference, and the Detroit Lions. Maybe this is why I'm losing 1,000 followers. The Detroit Lions put, after every game, you want to run through a brick wall. I go, yeah, you can run through a brick wall. You're still going to win 7, 8 games, so it doesn't matter. I'm like,
Yeah.
good job. I
Yeah.
mean, after every game, it's like a WWE interview.
It is. He's like shooting a hype video. He does. That's what it's like. And listen, man, they're going to win a couple games, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not a good football team. This is not a good football team. All right.
They're not. Okay, Brad, so what are we doing now with the Rams? The Rams lose to the Saints. I had the Saints losing because I'm like, I can't believe Andy Dalton's still the starter. But they lost. The Rams got outscored 17-6. And again, going to my original point with Sean McVay, he used to be great at making adjustments. Now he just, when you get outscored by a bad offensive team in the Saints in the second half, in a game you had to win to keep your playoff hopes alive. By the way, love Chris Olave. I have him in 2 of my fantasy football teams. Saints 4-7. Ah, man, Rams are just terrible.
They are. Should have won. Gave this game up again, but you got to give credit to Andy Dalton here. He's played hot. He's very hot and cold, right?
Yeah.
But he was excellent in this game.
Very
he was
good.
good enough to win the game. He put up terrific stats. And to your point, Olave is as smooth as a young receiver and polished of a young receiver as you'll see in the NFL. He's figured out his route running. He's excellent. He gets separation. He's fantastic. I think he is a star already. I've heard a lot of people calling for Jameis Winston to come back for this team. I don't think that after a performance like this you can move off of. It's like every time you're about to move back to Winston or you think that maybe that's the right idea, he has a game like this. So
just when you thought they were out, he pulls you back in.
Exactly.
And we've seen Andy Dalton can win games. We've seen him do it in Cincinnati. He didn't have a great tenure in Dallas, but he can win games. He can win games. All right. In a game that I had wrong, and before everyone says, Monty, you've been wrong. You were wrong a lot yesterday. Yes, yesterday was not my best week, but I'm 104-48 picking games. Brad, I don't know how this guy keeps winning.
Oh,
I mean,
I love it.
They've won 5 out of their last 6, and the guys love this guy. Washington wins over the Commanders 23-10. Commanders win over the Texans 23-10.
You pick the Texans in this one?
Yes, because every week I try to pick a game that no one will pick, and my thing was they played in Philadelphia. The Texans have been playing well. They're at home. I thought Washington was definitely going to overlook them. I was
Sure.
wrong.
No, you're right. It kind of looks like a trap game for them right after a big win. 23-10, they didn't play great, but here's the thing with them. They have a good run game. They have a defense that they're getting Chase Young back, and the defense is more impressive every week. I like this team. This is an easy team to root for. You know what? I wanted to say this about the Browns when I was talking about them. Part of the problem is they don't have an identity and they're not likable, right? Like they're not a likable team because they don't have identity. They haven't shown a ton of heart. They haven't, gone through, some adversity and gotten through it. And you've seen the team do that. You've seen that with this team. You see it has character. The quarterback has character. They have some weapons on the outside. McLaurin, Samuel are both dynamite weapons.
Yep.
They've got 2 running backs now that are effective. Their defense is getting stronger as they get Young back. They're already tough up front at times for teams, a load to handle up front.
6th in defense and giving up yards. So their defense is.
Yeah.
Remember last year we thought their defense was going to be lights out and it was terrible. This team is what Ron Rivera wants, right? It's almost like John Harbaugh with Michigan. Like they want a quarterback who's not going to make mistakes, run the ball when you don't have it, punt. A lot like Mike Vrabel's team, right? But their defense is playing well. And I think that they could be a playoff team, Brad.
Yeah, there's somebody I think that they could sneak into the playoffs for sure, and that you don't want to face this team in the first round. This is a team that is a problem in the come playoff time because their defense will show up. They'll have a good game plan, and they can get after the quarterback and create turnovers and all kinds of stuff. I like this team. I like them.
I like them better to get to the playoffs than this team right here. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I would agree with you.
Okay. All right, final game. Listen, the Ravens did what they had to do. This was an ugly game, and if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm kind of freaking out right now because we play to our competition. We'll lose 37-34, I think it was, to the Dolphins, and then we go down and we play a bad Carolina team that has nothing to play for, and we outscore them 10-0 in the fourth quarter. This game was 3-3. I kept checking my ticker to see when Lamar Jackson's going to run for 100 yards and they're going to put up 27 points. Brad, you cannot not go to play Carolina and win 13-3.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like the Ravens are leading the division, and it's like every week they just play to their opponent's level and then find a way to win in the fourth quarter. It's so annoying. Hopefully it comes back to bite them at some point. But like how they were even let Carolina stay around in this game is ridiculous. Like what happens to the Baltimore offense that can be so explosive at times where they go an entire game and can't score on the Carolina Panthers until the fourth quarter? It's crazy, and Baker Mayfield is god-awful.
Yeah, no, it's on every level. It's awful football. There's a lot of bad football being played. Brad, here's the problem, though. I think the Ravens are going to win the division because the Bengals have the hardest schedule in the NFL remaining, and the Steelers are not going to make the playoffs. The Browns aren't going to make the playoffs. So we're going to who said it? I forget what former wide receiver said 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you right now, the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. They'll win the Super Bowl. I'm like, what are you watching, dude?
I don't see that for sure, but they probably will win the division. Listen, they don't play their schedule is so light the rest of the way. They were fortunate to win some games that maybe didn't look like they were that hard at the beginning of the year, but now turn out looking like really good wins, which is just sometimes that's the way the schedule works in the NFL, right? Like teams end up being better than you thought, and the rest of their what's it say?
Brad, you want to jump on the Ravens bandwagon? You'll love it.
Absolutely, hell no, never.
Who would you root for, Brad? Brad, who do you root for more out of all those teams? If the Steelers, the Ravens, or the Bengals, because of Joe Burrow, are you rooting for the Bengals if you had to choose one?
I can't root for any of them. Okay. So if they're playing each other, I root for whoever it benefits the Browns more, or if it's like Like I like Washington right now. Like I can root for Washington right now because they're a likable team, and I like Heineke, and it's a nice story, underdog story. So yeah.
All right, Brad, let's go to the Monday night, and we're talking with Brad Ward here, and then we're going to talk about a huge matchup tonight. And I'm not talking about the NFL. I'm talking about my Atlanta Hawks taking on your Cleveland Cavaliers, two of the best backcourts in the NBA. So let's get through this real quickly. This game's going to be played in Mexico. Kyler Murray was questionable at first. Not sure if he's going. I'm assuming he's going to play. Does Arizona have any chance in winning this game?
I don't think so. But weird things happen when you play in other countries.
Especially in the division.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a closer game, but I like the San Francisco team to be there in the end. I think they have a good chance to be there with the Eagles and a couple other teams potentially at the Super Bowl.
Okay. Thursday night, Bills at Lions. If the Lions win this game, it's going to ruin my Thanksgiving. And you know how much I despise the Bills. So this is like the two worst teams for me to root for. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, I think I have to take the Bills in this one for sure.
You're taking the Cowboys over the Giants, correct?
I am. I think the Cowboys will win.
And the Vikings over the Patriots?
Let me think about
I'm taking the Vikings at home. Patriots can't score.
They can't. They play good defense. Yeah,
they play really good defense. And we saw yesterday, Kirk Cousins, man, when the pocket collapses, he looked like Peyton Manning or Eli Manning there last year. He just curled up into a ball.
Give me the Patriots in an upset.
Okay, Patriots in an upset. I like that. All right, Brad, let's talk about this game tonight. What I want you to watch for when you're watching, you're going to watch the game, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to watch when when DeJounte Murray's at the top of the key and just watch all the 3-4 players just stand there. I want you to watch Trae Young off the ball. There's no ball movement whatsoever. All they do, Brad, is a high screen and roll. Trae Young with the floater, DeJounte Murray with a mid-range game, or they throw it up to Clint Capella, who's been playing great. And I also want you to watch for the rookie out of Duke, Griffin, who's starting tonight because Hunter's not playing. This kid's an absolute stud. He hit the game-winning shot against Toronto, and his dad coaches Toronto, so it was kind of like bittersweet when his dad saw him at the buzzer. But what are you expecting out of this game, and what's your update with the Cavs, who've kind of struggled after their great start?
Yeah, they lost, 5 in a row, and then they squeaked one out the other night and then got another one, so hopefully they're getting back on track. You know, it's weird. They're kind of one guard will play really well one night and the other, when the other one won't. And then actually it's been more of Garland lately than it has Mitchell playing really well. But I like the way they play defense still. That is something that I can feel like they can hang their hat on when they're struggling offensively, and they're going to go through a period where there's some filling out. Same thing with Atlanta. When you add somebody that uses the ball or takes up as much usage as Murray does or Mitchell does, it's going to take both offenses time to adjust. Now, honestly, I think the Cavs will adjust faster because they move the ball better than Atlanta does.
Yeah,
but
Atlanta doesn't move the ball.
Yeah, so I have a question about that. What about like John Collins, who's a terrific player and stuff like that?
John Collins is on the hot seat because he's averaging 12 points a game. They're looking to trade him. I don't know why. And again, if they had an offense similar, I said this yesterday on my show. If you watch the Sacramento Kings, it's a great example of Mike Brown, who was a terrible offensive coach, learning from Steve Kerr. The Sacramento Kings, people don't want to talk about them because that's where players and careers go to die. But all their offense is ball movement. Kevin Huerter, who is on the Hawks, is thriving in that offense. It's passing, it's cutting. You know, the Atlanta Hawks have no ball movement. John Collins is on the trading rumor mill. I don't like it. But back to your point about your guards, I said this the other day to a friend of mine. I said, watching the Cavs play is like watching the Seattle Seahawks play. One night, DK Metcalf will go off. The next night, it's Tyler Lockett. That's the same thing with these guards. The good thing about Atlanta is Murray's averaging 20, Trae's averaging 26, Murray's averaging 8 assists. Both of them are playing well at night. But watching this Cavs team, it's a lot like watching the Seattle Seahawks with their wide receivers.
Yeah, and it's like you get a complimentary effort from the other one, and sometimes they can both go off. But, you're right. It is a lot like that. Now, I do like, I expect Jared Allen has been playing fantastic. So that'll be a good. These teams match up well against each other.
Yeah.
Two good guards, a couple of nice bigs on both sides at the 4 and the 5. So with Mobley and Collins and Capella and fun matchup.
Yeah,
I
and of
do
course,
think that Atlanta has better wings.
yeah, Griffin is playing. It's funny again. Nate McMillan. I'm going to write an article this week about the Hawks. Just an update. Nate McMillan didn't play this guy at start, and then he had some injuries, and he'd come in for 10 minutes. He gets 8 points, 4 rebounds. The other night, game-winning shot, scored 8 of the last 10 points. When you have guys like Murray on the floor and Trae Young, and Greg put up a great point when he was watching the Toronto game. He said, I don't understand it. He barely plays those guys together except the first 4 minutes of the game and the last 4 minutes of the game. And I don't agree with that. They're both smart enough. Trae has great court vision. DeJounte Murray was 22, 9, and 9 last year. So the guy knows how to play. I'm excited for this matchup. And if you do DraftKings, try to put a Griffin in your starting lineup because he's not going to cost you a lot of money.
Is that the guy that jumps out that has a can
They
jump?
have two Duke players that jump out of the rim. Yes, he's one of them. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna. Are you worried that they started off great and then now that they've come back to life, or you still feel that they're a legitimate 50 to 54 win team?
I think they're probably. I do think they're a legitimate 50 win team. And I think they'll get it figured out. I do.
And one thing I noticed, Brad, the attendance has been really good early on, right, in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
team has bought into this. The fans have bought into this team.
Likable team, likable coach, very much team oriented. A lot of positivity around this team. Like very much similar to like an extension of what you got with the Guardians. So young team, good following. So
good comparison. Jalen Johnson is the other guy from Duke. He jumps out of the rim, obviously.
Yeah.
So, all right, Brad, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? What do you guys do?
Well, normally we, eat here. We go around, see some family, and then we end up back here in eating. But this year we are going to my parents. I'll get to see my brother who will be in town and my niece. So that'll be fantastic.
How far is that from you? How far of a drive is it?
Oh, 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I'm doing a show on Wednesday. We're doing the Celtics Mavs game, and then on Thursday, me and Greg are going to do a show early morning, just previewing the game, trying to get as many shows in as possible, trying to get as many articles in as possible. Brad, how can we follow you? How can we support you, brother?
At Ward on Sports on Twitter. I'll be back. I did not I've been writing so much more at the OBR, right? And so it's been taking away from my podcasting a little bit, but I will not let it deter me. I will be doing shows every other night this week, except for obviously Thursday. And and I'll be writing too. So at the OBR, the Orange and Brown Report, the OBR.com. If you go check out, you guys probably don't care about Brown stuff, but
if you want to go check it out, I share my stuff with my friends. I share your stuff with my friends.
There's the amazing thing about this website is their forums and stuff. Like you can go in there and it's just insider forums, and there's thousands of followers on this website, which was created in 1999 when the team came back.
Nice.
And the coverage is all inclusive. So like we've got a capologist. We've got analytics guys on that just do writing on the analytics and provide us with the figures for
so
articles.
You're coming at it from all angles.
Yeah, so we hit it from every angle that you can. So
yeah, Joe said in our chat room, he's like, I'm going to try to do 12 articles this week. I said this month. I said, screw that, Joe. I'm doing 15. So right now I've written 12 since November 1st. I will have 15 done within the next 3 or 4 days. Greg's trying to beat me, so there's a little competition there. We have free range to write about whatever we want. So it's definitely look. See, Andrea, I listen to your podcast, Brad. It's great.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate the support.
I do share your stuff with people
I know you do.
Too, like Andrea. And Greg's like, I got 3 articles tonight. Yeah, Greg, you have 3 articles, but they're a paragraph long, so nobody cares. All right. No, I'm just kidding. Finally, Brad, I had one more question for you. where do you think Aaron Judge goes? Like, what if I mean, is it going to be Los Angeles or is it going to be the Yankees? Someone wanted me to ask you that. The Guardians are obviously not involved, but
No.
where do you think he's going?
I would think he ends up back with the Yankees, honestly. But
I mean,
that's my thought on it. What do you
can
think?
if he goes to Los Angeles, I mean, how is that even possible?
I don't know. I have no idea.
All right.
Let me ask you this: where do you think OBJ signed? Did OBJ to the Cowboys? I'm hearing
if I'm
feels like the Cowboys.
I go no. If I'm OBJ, I go to the Chiefs. Why would you want to go to a dysfunctional franchise like the Cowboys? Cowboys
he feels like a Cowboys guy. He just feels like he feels like a perfect fit for the Cowboys, Greg.
Well, Greg's saying that Judge is going to San Francisco because he's from there.
Interesting.
So, if you get a chance, check out Nuts and Bolts Sports Brand, our new website. Let me know what you think of it. They changed it all up over the last week or two.
Of course, I always will retweet everything Nuts and Bolts Sports I see. So I appreciate it.
All right, listen. Safe and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Obviously, Amarie couldn't be here, but we love having you on. You did a great job.
Everybody in chat, happy holidays.
Great job, Brad. Take care. Enjoy the Cavs game.
I will. You too. Go Cavs.
Bye-bye. All right. I want to thank everyone. Again, we're doing Wednesday night NBA. It's real simple. You tune into what I post on playback. You watch the game from your computer, and you listen to me and Joe do the color and play-by-play commentary. It's real easy. Hard to do from your phone. You need to do it from a laptop. Real simple. Secondly, Greg and I will be hosting a Thursday show, 10 a.m. Eastern time, breaking down the Thanksgiving game before you guys eat, before you go out, before you start cooking. Come join us, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Greg will be my co-host. Going to be a lot of fun. Enjoy the game tonight. I have San Francisco winning as well, and I have the Atlanta Hawks winning. In the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
They were worried about cold butts. That's to bring the heated.
Oh, look at that reaction.